Hi, welcome back to my channel, Fabulously Frugal and Fancy. I'm Brandy, and we are in Vlogmas day number 13. We are going through this book, Bring on the Merry, which is a devotional book to help us have the right mindset this holiday season. So we are on day number 13. Each section we do a little devotional, there's a little story, and then some activities that we can do. So I recommend you have a notebook to do those. If you've missed the others, please go down in the description box and click on the play link, and you can get caught up or watch any of the videos that you'd like to watch. This devotional, Fear Not. Christmas doesn't typically feel like a time marked by fear. I mean, no one comes down to watch a feel good Christmas movie expecting a horror film instead. We think of merriment, excitement, warmth, and joy surrounding the holidays. But the first Christmas was marked by a series of fear not moments. The angel told Mary not to fear when she was pregnant. Joseph needed reminding to not be afraid to take Mary as his wife. The angel told the shepherds, do not be afraid. Fear is all throughout the story of Jesus' birth. It's okay to acknowledge this part of life, though the season of Christmas often feels like a time to avoid feelings of fear for the sake of merriment. What I love about following God is that He never asks us to leave those things at the door. Instead, He sends reminders to His children to not be afraid. This Christmas, what makes your heart race? What makes your stomach turn over? What are you afraid of? Does the state of the world make you feel afraid? Does the safety or health of a loved one make you feel afraid? Are there threats to your career, your home, your mental health that make you feel afraid? I encourage you to cast these fears onto your Heavenly Father. God does not reply to these fears with fear not because He doesn't care. He offers a fear not because He has the confidence that life is more than just our earthly troubles. We are offered a life without fear because our life is no longer about the comforts and realities of this world alone. In Psalms 27:1, David wrote, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is my, the Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid?" The antidote to fear this Christmas is not to set it aside until the new year or to find a life that exists without things that make us afraid. Instead, the antidote to fear is the light offered by salvation. When things make me feel afraid, I remember my future, as well as my present, is secure in Jesus. I remember that I no longer have to carry my burdens alone. The light of Jesus' life casts out the darkness that so often closes in on us. Are you walking in the light? Do you feel the brightness and hope that a relationship with Jesus brings? Have you brought your fears into the light? If you are afraid of failing, bring this into the light. If you are afraid of being honest about your own struggles, bring this into the light. If you are afraid of being accepted for your full self, bring this into the light. If you are afraid of being a disappointment, let the light of God's love for you wash over this fear. The love of God is available for all. His salvation is available to you because of what Jesus did on the cross. And this is the sort of love that casts out fear. David asks, of whom shall I be afraid? I ask you this same question today. There is no person, no circumstance, no outcome that will escape God. He is all knowing and all powerful. He loves deeply and compassionately. Bring your fears to God today and step into a life without fear because of the strength and peace we find in Him. Let the words that the angel spoke to Mary, Joseph, and the shepherds so long ago wash over you today. Do not be afraid. Our story part of the devotion, A Christmas Fairy by John Strange Winter. It was getting very near to Christmas time, and all the boys at Miss Ware's school were talking about going home for the holidays. I'm going to stay here. I can't go home to India, answered Tom in a very forlorn voice. Poor fellow, said Bernie Fellows. If I couldn't go home for the holidays, especially at Christmas, I think I would just sit down and die. Oh, no, you wouldn't, said Tom. You would get over, you would get ever so homesick, but you wouldn't die. You would just get through somehow and hope something would happen before next year. And that some kind of fairy would. There are no fairies nowadays, said Bertie. See here, Tom, I'll write and ask my mother to invite you to go home with me for the holidays. In a few days' time, a letter arrived from Bertie's mother. The boy opened it eagerly. It said, "My own dear Bertie, I am very sorry to tell you that little Alice is ill with scarlet fever, and so you cannot come home for your holidays. I would have been glad to have you bring your little friend with you if all had been well here." And it was signed, "Your own mother." When Bertie received this letter, which ended all the Christmas hopes and joys, he hid his face upon his desk and sobbed aloud. The lonely boy from India, who sat next to him, tried to comfort his friend in every way he could think of. He patted his shoulder and whispered many kind words to him. Miss Ware, smiling down on the two boys, said, "Poor Tom has been expecting to spend his holidays alone, and now he will have a friend with him. Try to look on the bright side, Bertie, and to remember how much worse it would have been if there had been no boy to stay with you." The last day of the term came, and one by one, or two by two, the boys went away, until only Bertie and Tom were left in the great house. It had never seemed so large to either of them before. The evening passed, and the two boys went to bed. They told stories to each other for a long time before they could go to sleep. That night they dreamed of their homes and felt very lonely. Yet each tried to be brave, and so another day began. This was the day before Christmas. Quite early in the morning came a great box from Bertie's mother. Then, just as dinner had come to an end, there was a peal of the bell, and a voice was heard asking for Tom Egerton. Tom sprang to his feet and flew to the great hall to greet a tall, handsome lady, crying, "Aunt Laura! Aunt Laura!" Laura explained that she and her husband had arrived in London only the day before. "I was so afraid, Tom," she said, "that we should not get here until Christmas Day was over, and that you would be disappointed. So I would not let your mother write you that we were on our way. You must get your things packed up at once and go back to London with me. Then Uncle and I will give you a splendid time." For a minute or two, Tom's face shone with delight. Then he caught sight of Bertie and turned to his aunt. "Dear Aunt Laura," he said, "I am very sorry, but I can't leave Bertie here all alone. When I was going to be alone, he wrote and asked his mother to let me go home with him. She could not have either of us because Bertie's sister has scarlet fever. He has to stay here, and he has never been away from home at Christmas time before, and I can't go away and leave him by himself, Aunt Laura." For a minute, Aunt Laura looked at the boy as if she could not believe him. Then she caught him in her arms and kissed him. "You dear little boy, you shall not leave him. You shall bring him along, and we shall all enjoy ourselves together. Bertie, my boy, you are not very old yet, but I am going to teach you a lesson as well as I can. It is that kindness that is never wasted in this world." And so Bertie and Tom found that they were such a thing as a fairy after all. This Christmas, let joy overcome fear in your life. Sometimes the most helpful way to address fear is to first acknowledge the fear you've experienced in the past. Maybe you were afraid about something in the past, and then it turned out that it was nothing to be afraid of. Or maybe you received comfort and strength from God and were able to overcome your fear. Share these experiences below. And there's lines here that I felt afraid, and you can write in when, but, and then you write in your actual experience. When I was afraid of this, God did this. Now I encourage you to face the fear you're currently experiencing. Maybe you're experiencing some fear. Maybe you're experiencing some fears surrounding the holidays. Today, be vulnerable with yourself and with God about what is making you feel afraid. And there's some lines here. I'm afraid of, and then because. And there's several lines, so you can list several things that are causing you fear and anxiety. Take a moment to pray to God, asking Him to help you acknowledge your fears and to help you trust in Him to let them go. And that's it for today. I hope to see you back here tomorrow for day number 14. It's important that we face our fears. As Christians, we should not live full of anxiety and fear and stress. We have a God who is in control, and amazingly enough, He can take that anxiety away. He can take the fears and the stress away from you. If you just acknowledge them to Him, give your fears over to Him, and let Him take control. Part of the reason I think that sometimes we feel such anxiety, we feel such stress or fear is because we try to control everything. It's all on us. If it's all on me to do everything, it's not going to be good. because I'm nothing. But if I give it to God and I don't stress over things because he's the one in control. If I'm trying to control it and if I'm the one, then I'm going to be every little thing that goes wrong, I'm blaming myself, I'm stressed out, and that's no way to live at all. So just give it to God and let that stress go, let the fears and anxiety go, and just have peace in your heart because you know that God is in control of everything. I hope that you enjoyed today's devotion, and I hope to see you back here tomorrow. But until then, I hope you have a blessed day. Bye.